Hello and welcome to Like a House of Fire, episode 2. Um, it's a Cageside Seats video podcast presentation starring yours truly, Sean Rueter, writer, editor, person of interest at CagesideSeats.com. And I'm a little cranky. Um, sat down to do this thing like 55 minutes ago now, and I'm just now figuring it out, even though the first time, of course, went smooth as glass. So, what are you gonna do? Let's talk about some news and rumors and stuff. Get my mind off my technical difficulties. So, just a little rundown of what I was thinking about heading into this. What should be a quick hitter. That's what the idea behind Like a House of Fire is. These should be 5 to 10 minute blasts of me pontificating about rumors and stuff in the world of pro wrestling. So we've got a lot of arrivals and returns and a lot of stuff buzzing around. New faces, old faces coming to WWE. So I thought we'd run those down sort of in order of, newsworthy down to rumor, speculation, and just, let me prattle on about some of that. So let's start off with Kenta. Big signing. The Hulkster himself took his lackey Jimmy Hart over to Japan to sit down and bring the Japanese legend into the WWE family. So that's official. That's happening. There was a little bit of a buzz this week because Triple H got on the interwebs and said that, confirmed, even though at the press conference or, at the event in Osaka, they had said that that Kenta was going to go to NXT first. He's reporting to developmental. And that, that outraged some Puro fans and some smart marks, of which I include myself, so I don't mean that as a derogatory term. That, this guy's a legend. He's 33 years old. Let's get him on the main shows. I don't really have a problem with it. I doubt that he has a problem with it. And I got a little bit of knowledge about the Japanese culture. Just I've been there a couple times. I like pro wrestling, comics, anime, and baseball, so that sort of makes me an honorary Japanese person. Not really. Don't mean to offend any Japanese people. But, I don't think he probably has a problem with going down there and working with some people that he's worked with before or known about in names like Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville. And learning a little bit of a new style. I mean, he's on record as saying that this is about development for him, going back to when he first did his tryout there in January. So I don't think that he's outraged. I'm sure this was part of the deal. And there's some great matches to be had down there. Like I said, Zayn and Neville off the top of my head, but I'd like to see him work with, with the Tyler Breeze or, Enzo and Big Cass. I mean, just there's a lot of stuff that he can do that I think people can learn from him, and they can do entertaining matches and segments. So I think that's a win-win for fans and for him. It will be, it'll be a little bit of a difference. I mean, I think the WWE is another level. It sounds like a brag when Triple H says it a little bit, but it's true. Nobody else does it like they do. Nobody, there is no other performance center in the world like the one that they built down in Orlando. Nobody else rolls out as many production trucks and those sorts of things as they do for house shows, let alone television shows. So he can learn some stuff down there. We can get some great matches out of it, and I think WWE is smart to learn from their past experiences. They thought that Mystico was one of the biggest stars in the world down in Lucha, down in Mexico, and they just put a new mask on him, and that was really, really bad for him and for WWE and for us as fans. I mean, that Sin Cara never clicked, and they're still trying it with poor Hunico under the mask, and maybe that'll work, but. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it's smart for them to build this up a little bit. Not every hardcore smart fan, whatever you want to call us in the world, it was familiar with Kenta either. I mean, not everybody has the money or the time or has been, following pro wrestling to the extent that we try to cover it at Cageside, and that the internet wrestling community as a whole does cover it. So people didn't know. I mean, they maybe heard the name or they'd seen some YouTube clips, but they don't know him. They don't have an attachment, and we don't really have a character for him in WWE. So they can start that in NXT. They can use it as a sales pitch for the network, and then hopefully, get the most bang for their buck when he does get to the main roster. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be here. I don't know how long he wants to live in North America. I mean, he's, like I said, he's 33 years old. He's a legend in much of the world already. So maybe this is a 2-year deal for him, and he wants to get back home. I don't know. But I think this is a smart way to maximize that. I don't think there's any point in being outraged, and and be aware that Triple H is always working us. So if he puts on his authority smirk and says this guy has to prove himself to me, part of that is to get us to react and say, "Screw you, man! He's the greatest." And then so we did it. Yay, yay us! We played our part in the reality era game. Next up, we all know worst kept secret in the world. Brock Lesnar will be back sometime in the next few days. This is the other rumor, news tidbit, is that Cena will not be there on Monday. So the presumptive, we talked about it in our last episode, or our inaugural broadcast, that everybody's planning on it being Cena versus Lesnar at SummerSlam in August, and I'm planning on that. I think it will be for the titles. I think somehow Cena walks out with the belts on Sunday, even if Brock rolls through and destroys him after he wins them. If that's the case, then Dean Ambrose has probably beaten the living piss out of Seth Rollins, so he can't use the briefcase before that. But Brock's coming back. Should be pretty awesome. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see. I don't know what they're going to do to explain Cena not being there on Monday night, if that is indeed the case, that he's off filming this Judd Apatow movie, which is good for him. It's even if it's a small role, it's much better than the Marine or 12 rounds or any of the stuff that WWE's given him to do. So maybe this could be a big deal for him. Obviously, if they're willing to let him miss 2 of the 4 Raws building to a match like Lesnar Cena with as much riding on it as their SummerSlam Showdown would, then I think that they think it's a big deal too. So Lesnar's coming back. If I had to fantasy book it, I guess I'd let Cena walk out and let him stand tall on Sunday. Maybe even say he's off filming the movie. I don't know. I don't know. I really doubt that they're going to spend the money to bring Lesnar in on Sunday. But maybe they will. I mean, he's going to have to get down to Florida anyway. That would certainly drive a rating on Monday if Lesnar shows up and wipes out Cena at the end of Battleground, and tune in on USA Network to find out what happened. But one thing for sure is he'll be back, and that's a good thing. I mean, I want to watch him tear stuff up. That's what he does. Best in the world at it. So we got that. We got that to look forward to, which is nice. Sting, the Stinger, the Sting Man. This video game commercial came out. I am not the biggest Sting person in the world. I don't, if you read my stuff, you probably know I was sort of a lapsed fan for the start of the Monday Night Wars era, and then I was, because I'm old, I was a WWF guy, so I stuck with the WWE, so I don't have as much of an attachment to NWO versus Crow Sting kind of stuff. But, I recognize his place in the industry, and I am excited to see him come into the WWE family and, talk more about his history and that kind of stuff on the network. And I certainly think, I think we've seen this before. The video game is the thing that kickstarts the rest of it. So I expect him to probably be a Hall of Fame inductee in the next couple of years. I think that we're going to get Sting Taker. I don't think they'd be talking about it this vocally if they didn't have at least an agreement that the Taker will do that if he can. And I think given a year to get ready, and the fact that this would not be a match against Lesnar or even a match against Triple H, they're not going to be in a cell. This will be heavy on psychology. Give these 2 veterans, legends, and not the capital L WWE Legends contract. These guys are fucking legendary. Give them time to plan out a match and a story, and deliver it on the stage. I think losing the streak is kind of a good thing in this regard, because that would have made it a foregone conclusion as to who would win and what kind of story we'd get, and now they've got a lot more possibilities. lot of different places they can go with it. So I think that's going to happen. I don't think he goes out there and runs his mouth as much as he has to TMZ and Grantland and everybody else about how that's the only match he wants. He only wants one more match, unless that's sort of already in the plans. It is an interesting question, though, about this sort of reality era negotiating tactic and public relations piece. The last guy I was going to talk about is Kurt Angle. Was on Jim Ross's podcast the last couple of weeks, talking very openly about wanting a WWE return. It seems, at least from Cageside commentators, that is something that WWE fans want very much. I know, I mean, as much as I said I'm not the biggest Sting fan in the world, I am one of the biggest Angle fans in the world. I hope to God he is getting his health together and dealing with his addiction issues, and whether or not he comes back to WWE, just because that would be a pretty horrific way to go. He's already banged up his body enough to have to deal with that while, popping pills to get through the day would be a pretty crappy life for a guy that's entertained me a lot. So I don't want to see that. I do want to, but I want to see him back in the WWE too. I don't know if I don't know. I mean, he's saying that he is not talking to Vince and company at all as a result of his TNA contract. That would be very honorable. It would be a very sober thing for him to do. I don't know that those lines of communication are completely shut down, though. It's an interesting tactic for him to be talking up very openly how much he wants that and how that's his plan, is to come back to the WWE. I think it's a little bit different from Sting. He's not saying this is the match I want and when I want it. That leads me to believe that it is a done deal. I mean, the list of people that Angle said that he wants to work with are pretty much the list of all of the hot and talented people in WWE right now. So I think he's just throwing some stuff out there to see if it piques interest in fans and in the powers that be at WWE. But I mean, I like to think that, I don't think that he is so disconnected that if this was totally pie in the sky, that he would be talking it up. I do think that, Dixie Carter and her family at TNA has been good enough to him that he wouldn't make them look that bad if, I don't know. I don't think it's all a gamble. I think he's got to have some inside information that the door's open. We had that Stephanie McMahon interview, I guess like a year back now, where she said never say never about it, which is, again, kind of like the video game thing. That's usually a tease that something is possible. So I would hope that maybe they string it out like they did with Sting, even though we sort of knew it was coming. Well, not exactly like they did with Sting. I don't want the rumor roundup to be, Kurt Angle bought a pen today that he said somebody overheard him say he wanted to sign a WWE contract with. But maybe tease it out till after next WrestleMania, announce him for the video game, and then start the run. Although the clock is ticking on him too, so if we're going to bring him back, let's bring him back. I want to hear the music. I want to chant, "You suck," even though you don't suck, Kurt. I love you. So that's the rundown. I don't know of anybody else that's rumored to be coming in. Well, I do. I mean, there's Steen and Prince Devitt, some exciting names down in developmental, but those are the big ones that are dominating the news this week. So, some stuff to chew on as we head into Battleground, which is, you'll read more about it on the site all weekend long and the fallout from it. But there's some interesting possibilities that could come out of this. I don't think these matches have foregone conclusions. So check all that stuff out on the site this weekend. Thanks for listening. Your feedback was much appreciated. So keep that coming too. Any questions, anything you want us to talk about? I'm going to try to do a couple of these a week, maybe every other day. I don't know if it takes me an hour to set it up every time. That ain't happening, but we'll keep working on it. We've got a couple other plans cooking. So thanks for watching, listening, reading. Like a house of fire on Cageside Seats. My name's Sean, and live it, love it, share it, deal with it.